November is a time of gratitude and thanks for many. It's also National Adoption Month. If you didn't know, this morning we'd like to share a powerful story that I think illustrates how an entire family's future can be changed by adopting. Emmanuel Crawford is currently the running back at Grove High School, is the new career rushing yards leader for Class 5A in Oklahoma. His mom, Audrey, is here as well. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. How are you?
Congratulations on the new record, by the way.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to start off, Emmanuel, about your early life. We have some pictures from you growing up in Ghana. What do you remember about growing up in Ghana? It seemed very difficult.
So I was in an orphanage for a little bit. I think one of my most vivid memories is the day that I got rescued from child slavery. It was just like seeing someone come in and, you know, you're leaving with them and they're, you know, taking you somewhere that you don't even know you're going, but you trust them. So.
And as we take a look at this picture, this is you when you were on a boat in Ghana. And what do you remember from this time? I mean, I know you were young, 3, 4 years old, but what are some of the things that, did you remember wanting to just get out of that life?
You know, I always said one day I would wrestle with the white man. So I think, you know, from the very beginning.
You said that.
God had put it in my heart, like, hey, like, you're not going to be here forever. So.
And Audrey, what was going on in your life at this time?
Well, Stan and I already have 5 children, and so it was kind of crazy to think that it was in my heart that we were to have one more, and I'd always wanted to adopt. And so just through a friend who had Touch of Life, she had adopted, and they didn't adopt kids out of Ghana, but she showed me a video of Emmanuel and said, I'm making a trip in January, and this was 2010.
Yeah.
And I went in January, held him in my lap for the first time, and then we did everything we could to bring him home.
Emmanuel, what do you remember about that, about meeting Stan and Audrey for the first time?
You know, me and my parents were, you know, we're best friends from the very beginning. I kind of just hugged them, and, you know, I never wanted to leave their side. I knew that I was going to be in a safe place with a good family.
And Audrey, what do you remember about the early years as you are, you know, trying to have, you know, you're having Emmanuel with your kids, and what do you remember just kind of about adjusting to a new life?
I won't lie, it was tough. But, you know, when you have 5 children, you realize parenting's not for the faint at heart. And so it didn't, you know, intimidate me, but it was tough. And I think that's what's so cool as you talk about his current, you know, and what happened last week when he broke a record is we had support from the beginning. When there wasn't enough love by Stan and I out of frustration or his siblings, you know, wanted to beat him up because he was this annoying little brother, is we had a community that loved on him, and he started trusting them and loving on them, and that's what carried us through, for sure.
Emmanuel, how did you grow up, you know, in terms of how did you find out about football and find out that this was something that you were really, really good at? I mean, I think I can say that, you know, 6,000 career rushing yards, you're pretty good.
So our neighbor was actually the Little League football coach.
Okay.
And I was best friends with his son. And so, you know, I started talking to him, and he was like, dude, you should totally play football. And I was like, dude, my mom's not letting me play till 7th grade. You know, it took some convincing and some flowers and some chocolate, but in 5th grade, my mom was like, you know, I think that you can play football now. So, you know, it kind of just took off from there.
With it being, as we mentioned at the top, National Adoption Month, how has adoption, in what ways has adoption changed your life?
You know, it took me from a bad situation to a good situation. It makes you realize, like, as a little kid, when you're going through something traumatic and you come out of that and you get put into this beautiful family with amazing people, it's like, you know, God is real and life is good, even in the bad times. So.
Audrey, for you and Stan, how did it change your life? Because obviously you've changed his life, but how did it change yours?
You know, it's almost hard to tell his story. We didn't for so long because, you know, people mean well, but they'll say, wow, that was so awesome you did that. But it's like, it's so awesome when you have a child. And so he's a child. Like, he's so awesome to us. It's so awesome that God entrusted us. So when people compliment us, like, you don't understand, I'm the privileged one. I'm the honored one that, I mean, he could have gone anywhere. I mean, because he said it. He prophesied it over his own life that he was going to wrestle with the white man as a little boy in his own native tongue. And yet for that to happen and it be us, it's great to have him as a son. He's my reward.
Well, Audrey, Emmanuel, thank you for sharing your story. Again, it took a long time, I know, to get comfortable telling this story, so I really appreciate you both telling this here on National Adoption Month. Have a safe trip back to Grove, by the way.
Okay.
Thank you.